Hey everyone, I'm Karen with Emulsion. Welcome back here to my home studio in my basement, my little pottery setup that I have down here. I wanted to show you a video today using a new bat system that I have. I'm going to be doing a little bit of throwing, and I thought, ooh, I should use that new bat system to kind of show it off and show you. Now, in the past, I had a few videos where I showed this really cool square bat system that I got from a guy up in Canada. They refer to him as Batman. I will put his contact information in the video description so you can find that if you would like. And I also have another video on showing that, that system when I got it. But the system that I wanted to show you was a different a square bat system that I just got recently. And this was from, of all places, it was an Amazon seller. Now, I always try to encourage people to develop a relationship with the small businesses near them. So small businesses that are pottery shops are a great resource if you are close to them. But then I realized just how lucky and blessed I am to have the various small businesses near me. Like within an hour, I have two excellent places. Like I usually go up to Cornell Studio Supply in Dayton. Fantastic service. They have great educational workshops and everything. And then in Cincinnati, there's Queen City Clay, which is outstanding as well. Lots of workshops and other things that they offer down there as well. And then in Columbus, which is like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away, there's Columbus Clay. But I know that not everyone is fortunate enough to have that in close proximity to them. So maybe you're going online, you're buying from one of the big pottery sellers, or maybe you're just on Amazon and you're trying to find things on Amazon. Well, I did find a company and I reached out to them. I had never heard of them before, and I'll show you their logo here. It's called Penguin Pottery, and they are out of it looks like, I think it's New Hampshire. They're up in New England, and it seems to be run by potters, and they are really trying to make a go of it, here starting in 2020. And I thought, well, if I reached out to them and said, hey, I'd like to try your insert, do a video with it, and I'll give you guys a review of it. This insert looks pretty sturdy. It looks substantial. It looks very similar to the one that I got from Batman. The feel of it is essentially the same. The finishing is just a little bit different on the edges, as you can see there. This one is the one from Penguin Pottery. But it seems like it's probably going to hold up nicely. Now, just like I did before on the one from Batman, I could put a bat mate on my wheel head before I actually start to use that, which I will probably in a minute. And they also sent me a couple of these, which are really thin bats, and I'm eager to try these to see how well these do. I'm not too sure if there would be any warping issue. I'm hoping that there's not. I'm assuming that there won't be. But also, the one thing that I try to make a point of is when I throw on wood, I try to get the pieces off there when they're leather hard. That way, it's not just adding more and more and more moisture into the wood. And my father, who's a woodworker, taught me that at a young age. Don't just leave wet things on wood constantly. Now, maybe they're made so you can really leave it on there, but I do try to clean them off, and I try to make sure that I don't have like chunks of clay just sitting on there. Clean it off when it's leather hard, and I sponge it off and get it nice and clean. A couple of other things that I'll show you that they sent me, which they sent a Potter's Organic Barrier Cream, which it feels kind of nice. I think it might be, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be something akin to the gloves. Something about gloves. I have it on my list. It's a barrier shielding cream. This looks promising. I'm trying that out. They sent me some of their kiln wash. I haven't mixed it up yet. Oh, it's already wet. Okay, I haven't opened it yet because I haven't needed kiln wash yet. And then they also sent me some of their wax resists, which I thought that was very nice of them. So thank you, Penguin Pottery, for sending me some things. And when I get around to using that kiln wash and that wax resist, I'll be sure to give a shout out to them at that time. So let's get throwing, and I'll show you the new bat system as I'm throwing. Okay, so before I stick the bats on there, I'm just going to go ahead and use the bat mate. I am used to using one of these. Oh, and if you haven't seen these in other videos, let's see if you can see it right there. It's Batmate. It's by that company. Not exactly sure how you say it. I want to say it might be Ziam, something like that. Not 100% sure, but they have this great little surface. I'm going to refer to it as a fake chamois. It's really nice. If you ever had a bat that wiggled on your wheel head, the Batmate helps to keep it from wiggling around like when the holes get bigger. And I should mention too that I'm throwing on my beautiful Skutt Classic wheel. Love this wheel. It is a real workhorse, and I love cleaning up the one-piece splash pan. Now, I don't think that it makes a difference. I haven't seen a difference between these two sides, so I don't know if it makes a difference if you have the Penguin Pottery logo up or down, but for now, I'm just going to put it down, okay? And then I'm also going to, let's see, I'll put that up though, because I want that to be flush, I think. And then to get this out, it's just an easy lift out of the little holes. So because this is wood, I am fairly certain that I'm going to want to add a little moisture to the square bat itself. I think that moisture is going to help the clay to stick, because if you're putting it on there dry, I feel like it might just suck all the moisture out of the bottom of the clay. I'm not real sure, but that would be my logical assumption. If you're watching carefully, you're going to find this is actually my second piece that I'm putting on this wheel, because my first piece, I discovered a nice lump of harder clay within the wall, and I had to chuck that one. This is all clay that I have recycled. I recycled a bunch of clay over spring break, and like 300 pounds by hand, and tore my rotator cuff, which was not fun with that. So that's when I decided that I need a pug mill. So I ordered a Peter Pugger VMP 9, so I will no longer have to wedge 300 pounds of clay and mess up my shoulder. So hopefully this one will go better than the first one did. So this is about 4 pounds, and I just want to cone it a couple of times to help aid in the centering process. I always tell my kids coning is completely optional, but for a beginner, I think it really helps them quite a bit. Now, I just want to point out a couple of things. First of all, if you ever happen to have a bat that's not fully centered, because you can see this as it comes around, the edge of it is not fully centered, that won't matter, because your piece is going to be centered in the middle. Like some people, just they make a patty of clay and they stick a bat down with no bat pins. It doesn't really matter if the bat itself is fully centered. I did want to point out though, I don't know if you can see, but the edges here of where the clay comes down on this little bat insert, it's not going to overlap onto the holder part. You wouldn't want that. I just want to make sure that the base is not going to be too big. These bats are fantastic for things like small things like mugs. I don't think I've ever really kind of done something quite so large as I am today on one of these bat inserts. So that first pull that I do is really, it's more or less a squeeze with the left hand. It's very much like recentering the wall. I have a couple videos on how to recenter open clay. I refer to it with my kids as the duckbill. Robin Hopper, a really wonderful potter who passed, he described it as the claw. Alright, so now I'm doing more traditional pulling where I'm pushing outside hand to the inside hand, but you can definitely get away with the squeezing action, especially at the beginning. I've reduced my speed a little bit because the bigger I get, I don't want it to be super fast or anything. I'm going to rotate my wheel a little bit. Okay, one little observation. I have found it a little harder to do a super tall vase at a standing wheel. That last pull, I found myself up on my tippy toes. So I may have to either stand on something or work on a lower wheel in order to do like a really tall vase. So we're at, let me find a ruler. All right, so I'm currently at 9.5 inches, and some people might say, well, that's not very tall. But when I look at the length of my forearm, that's only 9. So it's taller than the length of my arm can bend easily. And this part, of course, is sped up a little bit. I just wanted to speed that along, but I'm just doing some final successive pulls there to thin out the wall as much as I feel comfortable, trying to get that final form. And then I'm going to take a rib and scrape away some of the excess slip because I want to get a little of the moisture off of this, and I want a super smooth, pristine kind of surface. And after the metal scraper rib, I'm using the small red one, and again, just smoothing that edge with a chamois, trimming away a little bit of the extra there at the base before I cut it off and remove it. Okay, so here I have my vase throne. It's just right at 10 inches, and I did cut the bottom with a wire, and then I'm just going to take a little wooden tool, kind of stick in there in the little half cut holes, and then I can lift that out. Okay, and I'll just set that aside to get leather hard, and I'll take it off when it gets leather hard. Okay, so it's not quite leather hard yet. It's still at the very sticky side of leather hard. It's just a little bit more firm than it was when I threw it. But I'm taking the rounded edge of just a wood tool. That's one of those large Kemper wooden knives. And I'm making an indent while pressing my fingers on the interior, kind of on either side of it, to try to help that indent. Now I'm just trying to maybe clarify that indent with my knuckle. And I do intend to make a different shaped tool, one that I might find works better for this form. I'll do another video with that when I make those. But then just trying to make this uniform, and now it has been sitting. It's sat and it's now leather hard. And now at this point I can remove it, and then I'm going to tidy up that bottom a little bit. Oh, I'm continuing trying to make the indents, but again, because that tool was straight, it's hard to make the indents in that curved area. Now I'm just taking the tool and rocking it, and I'm kind of making indents in the bottom that go up. I just wanted to give it more of an organic feel, like these indents in the bottom were kind of coming from one another, have more of an organic flow to it. And here again, I'm just using my fingers to go in there and redefine the denting a little bit more. Oh, sorry about the hair. Sorry. Oh, that's not going to be very handy. But then I'm going to go in there a little bit with a rib and just help to define and clarify the dents. I've got a little bit of water that I'm adding periodically to help allow my fingers to smooth. And again, this is fully leather hard at this point, so it's a little easier to manipulate without having a lot of distortion. Like when it was plastic, it's easier to distort. And then I'm just kind of cleaning up, clarifying the top rims a little bit, just constantly kind of looking at it and trying to make it look regular, clean. Look for all those little details. Oh, that's a chamois in my hand. The chamois is intended to help smooth those edges. Just like when I'm throwing a pot, I often use a chamois. And I did use a chamois on the day that I threw it, but I'm just trying to tidy it, get rid of tool marks, finger marks. and work on the bottom a little bit more. And I'm just making that indent just a little bit more significant in there, just by not really sculpting it, but I'm just pushing it with my fingers just to try to make that indent kind of come up, so you can see it's kind of flows right into the line. Any imperfections, I'm just trying to rib over. And I don't know if you saw when I threw it, though, it looked a little bit almost marbled, and that was just because it was recycled clay. That was a lot of recycled clay, and some of it was a little bit darker, probably due to some mold, and it looks even now, though. As it's drying, you would never know that it had a marbled kind of effect to it. Oh, again, sorry about the hair. And I did speed this up quite a bit, because this part, was very repetitive, and pretty much the same thing throughout the whole thing. Now, when I made these, I allowed them to dry, then I bisque fired them, then I glazed them, and I'm going to show you the final results here in just a moment of these glazed pieces. And here you go. So these are the finished vases that I did. I put a little bit of a dark glaze, a steel gray chino in the indents, antique jade on the outside, and then gunmetal green dipped on the rim. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe.